Buckle up, everybody. The real estate world is facing changes so massive, they'll redefine transactions for buyers and for sellers alike very soon. What does this mean for you? Well, in today's video, we're going to dive deep into the changes so that you know what to expect when these changes go into effect. What's going on, everyone? My name is Juan. I'm the OC agent here at First Team Real Estate in Huntington Beach. If you find this information useful, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Now let's get started. In light of a landmark settlement against the National Association of Realtors, major changes have been mandated to how real estate transactions are carried out starting on August 17th, 2024. These changes affect how commissions are negotiated, they affect how buyer representation is handled, and they even affect the process for touring homes. Before we go on, I want to make it clear that this information provided in this video is for educational purposes only. I'm not advising you on how to handle negotiations of real estate commissions. Please remember that commission rates are negotiable, each transaction is unique, and you should consider seeking professional advice to determine what works best for your situation. I'm not here to discuss whether these changes are good or bad. I'm simply here to explain the new process so that you can decide how to best move forward. Now, let's get started with some specifics, and we'll get started with the seller side of the transaction, specifically how things used to work, and then we'll discuss how things will work going forward. In the old ways, when a homeowner decided to sell their home, they'd meet with a real estate agent and discuss their plans to sell. The agent would explain to the seller the process of selling a home, discuss market statistics, home pricing strategies, and how they planned on marketing their home for sale. If the seller liked the plan and agreed to hire that agent would negotiate the fee, a commission, to sell the home, which also included the commission for the real estate agent representing the buyer. In other words, the seller's agent pre-negotiated the commission for the agent representing the buyer and included that commission in the listing agreement. This commission, which could be any amount since commissions have always been negotiable here in California, was then marketed to all the agents in the multiple listing service, or MLS. If you're not familiar with the MLS, it's basically Zillow but just for agents, and it's where the details of a particular listing are kept, including commission, at least for now. Then, when a buyer's agent showed the property and the buyer decided they wanted to make an offer, they'd write the offer, submit it, and if the seller accepted, escrow was open, inspections were ordered, repairs were negotiated, the bank ordered appraisals, disclosures were reviewed, etc., etc., etc. And once the transaction was completed, the buyer's agent was compensated based on whatever the seller had previously negotiated with his agent. Now, let's discuss what the home buying process will look like going forward. Starting on August 17th, when a home buyer decides to sell their house, they will still need to meet with a real estate agent to discuss their plans. Most of that conversation will look the same, except when it comes to commission. Commission for the buyer side representation will no longer be pre-negotiated. Instead, the agent working with the seller will only negotiate his or her own commission, and the buyer's agent will need to negotiate his or her own commission with his client. Under the new rules, offers of compensation, aka commission, will not be advertised in the MLS. In other words, an agent representing a buyer will not know ahead of time if the seller is offering to pay them commission. Okay, so now you may be wondering, if a buyer's agent commission is no longer being pre-negotiated or offered in the MLS, does this mean that a prospective home buyer now has to pay their own commission? Well, not necessarily. In most situations, the buyer and their agent will still be asking the seller to pay the commission by submitting a request in the offer. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, so let me explain. Under the new rules, agents and their homebuyer clients must enter into a written agreement before going on home tours. There will be fines for agents that don't follow the rules. There are two types of agreements that will be used for homebuyer representation. One representation agreement will be just for a few home tours and not valid for a period of more than 30 days. And the other representation agreement will be a more formalized agreement that can be in effect for a period of no more than 3 months at a time. Both agreements can be set for exclusive or non-exclusive representation, and both the buyer and their agent will need to agree on a commission for the services provided before going on tour. A great agent should sit down with you and explain all of this so that you fully understand before you proceed. So now that you've got an agreement with an agent and you've toured some homes, what happens if you find the home of your dreams? Will you be responsible for the commission? Well, like I said before, not necessarily. Don't panic. When your agent writes up the offer on the house of your dreams, there is a checkbox on the purchase agreement that your agent must check in order to request the seller to pay the commission that you had agreed to pay your agent. Now, be careful here because if your agent doesn't check this box, then you might be on the hook for the commission. Now, most offers, if not all of them, will be likely submitted with a request for the seller to pay commission, and it is very likely that the seller will still pay this commission. In the unlikely event that the seller decides not to pay, then you have a couple of options as a buyer. Number one, you can decide to pay your agent the commission and move forward with the purchase. Or B, you can choose to keep looking for a home that better fits your needs, including your financial ones. One last important thing regarding open houses. You will not need to sign an agreement when you visit an open house. You may be asked to check in or sign in for the open house itself, but you should not be asked to sign an agreement unless you're asking the agent at the open house to represent you in the purchase of a home. So be careful when you're signing things out there. Make sure that you understand what you're signing and keep that in mind. All right, guys. Well, that does it for me. I know you'll have tons of questions as these changes are rolled out. So if you have anything for me, any questions at all, leave them down in the comments or you can contact me. My contact information is down below. Otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this information, and I'll see you on the next video.